Hey guys, definitely was very much looking forward to seeing. Out of every movie coming out this month, this was definitely one that I thought looked really great and looked like it was going to be just a very fun film. And finally, I have seen it. It's a film that we've been looking forward to for a long time now, and that is the sort of sequel, but not really, spin-off of the Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie. Now, I was definitely very much looking forward to this movie overall. One, because, as anyone will tell you, I love the Lego movie. I think it's an incredibly unique, different, but also very introspective film about innocence and, creativity and letting your childhood, staying young and having, staying young and youthful and things like that. The movie represented that very well, and especially with that twist, I really did love where they went with it. And I've always wanted, like the, Batman movie since we saw Batman, because Batman by far was one of the best things about the movie. He stole almost every scene he was in, so I was very interested in seeing where they were going to go with the Lego Batman movie. I didn't really know what they could do because there's been, so many superhero films, and I've said before, we're very oversaturated with them, and I really didn't know what this film was really going to be, but I have to say that, is the Lego Batman movie as good as the Lego movie? I can't really say because it's not really the same type of movie, but I still did have a blast with this movie. I love the Lego Batman movie. It's easily the most fun I've had with any film this year. It's a very well-told story that's hilarious. I found this movie to be very fun, but also is honestly quite insightful when it comes to the character of Batman, which I'll get into. But let's get to the plot of Lego Batman movie, which the plot of this movie is a little bit different from what you may think. The plot of the movie, essentially we have Batman, he's fighting the Joker in the beginning of the film, and basically, at this point, Batman's been around for a long time. He kind of feels that he's unstoppable, but Alfred starts to tell him that, he can't keep doing this alone. Batman feels that this is all he needs to do. He really has nothing else besides this, and, he can't keep doing this alone, and he needs to do what he can to raise his son, Robin, and basically get him to work alongside him, and that basically is the main plot of Lego Batman movie overall. There's a lot more going on in the movie than that, but let's get into this movie overall, starting off with the cast. Now, the Lego movie on is its cast. I think the cast in that movie was fantastic. The voice work was great. Everyone really did have these really great, colorful characters, and I would argue that this is as good, if not better, than those characters. I love pretty much every performance in this movie. I think everyone really did a fantastic job, and I really did love what they did with them. Now, particularly Will Arnett as Batman, I absolutely loved in this movie, because they could have easily gone in the, cliche asshole type direction with Batman, where he's just an asshole and he thinks he's the greatest thing ever, which he definitely does in the movie. I mean, he's not a very modest guy. This is someone who thinks that he's completely unstoppable. But there's a lot more under the surface than that, and that was something I definitely really did love. Will Arnett is doing a very good job with picking these roles that seem very, very cliche and very familiar, but have these really deep nuances to them, and that's a very good example of what they do with Batman in this movie. The movie really does, surprisingly, get into some very deep stuff with Batman, how he has depression, and how he really doesn't know how to make relationships with people because he genuinely feels that he doesn't have time for them. He doesn't understand love. He's not capable of doing such a thing. Or how Batman feels that he can't possibly work with anyone. He needs to work alone and do it on his, by himself. And just that stuff, they actually got down very, very well. I really did love the way the movie understood the character of Batman. I was very surprised with how much the movie understood it, but they did a very good job with getting into the deeper layers of this character. They really did peel back the layers of him overall, and Warner continues to be one of the best actors working today when it comes to animation. He's picking some fantastic roles. He did such a great job in this movie. There's nothing really that different they do with Batman in this that you haven't seen in other films, but I was just very impressed by how serious they did take this character, because sure, he does have some very fun moments, and they're absolutely hilarious, but he also did a very good job with the emotional side of Batman. That was something I really was not expecting, and I was very happy to see throughout this film. But of course, you guys already knew that Will Arnett was great because, he was in the first movie. Now let's get to the other characters, because the other characters are just as great. I think everyone really did a great job. Zach Galifianakis as Joker is perfectly casted. I really did love what Zach Galifianakis had to do here. I was a little bit weary of Zach Galifianakis, never really saw him as a Joker, but he was fantastic in this film. And the Joker as well, he kind of has this long-running subplot where he basically feels that if he is not, the villain that Batman fears the most and Batman's greatest villain, he doesn't really know what his purpose is. And he kind of goes through this very interesting arc throughout the film, and it's very funny. Zach Galifianakis, like, really understood the satire of Joker and how to make the Joker fun and things like that. But again, they also did a good job with really getting into the deeper layers of that character. And I was very impressed by the way this film did that. I wasn't expecting going into it. I think they did it spot on, and they really did understood how this character is supposed to be. The relation between Batman and Joker is very interesting, and I really did love what Zach Galifianakis had to do here. I thought that he definitely was very well casted. He also was great. Michael Cera as well as Robin. I really did like Michael Cera in this movie. You can tell that Robin is someone who genuinely does want to work with Batman. He admires him, and the relation between these two is a bit rocky because, like I said, Batman feels he's not capable of loving someone and taking care of someone, and he doesn't really want to get anyone else involved in what he's doing. And I actually really did love the scenes between these two. They're a lot of fun to watch together and really do add to the fun of this film. I really did love what they did there. Ralph Fiennes is also great as Alfred. I love what he did in this movie. I thought that he was just a lot of fun to watch. But just like Alfred's supposed to be, he was a great father figure to Batman. Like, he really did give him some very good advice, and he actually gave him some very interesting stuff to think about, and I really did love what Ralph Fiennes was as a character. I thought he as well was great. But let's talk about someone who I don't think has gotten enough praise, who I was very impressed with in this movie, who blew me away, honestly. I really did love Rosario Dawson in this movie as Barbara Gordon. She was fantastic, and this is one of the best versions of Barbara Gordon I've seen in quite some time. Why? Because this Barbara Gordon at no point has any sort of relationship with Batman. She's not just there to be, some sort of love interest. She's there to be a full-fledged character, because Batgirl in this movie, the reason that Batgirl's doing what she's doing is because she, while Batman thinks he can work alone, she does bring up the fact that there are many of villains that he hasn't caught, and that there are many villains that he has just left gone, they've escaped, and he hasn't done anything about them, and she really feels like she can be the one to actually take them down, and they can work well together. And their relationship, again, it's quite rocky, because Batman isn't really sure if he's really willing to work with anyone, and I really did love the direction that their relationship went in. It was romantic at times, definitely. Like, he definitely did like her, but it wasn't just a romance. There was definitely more to it, and I really did appreciate the way the film really did get into it. I thought overall that was very well done. Again, very much surprised me in regards to character. Really, every character in this movie is very well established. I really did love where they went with all the characters here, and just like the Lego movie, they took characters that could have been very by the numbers and just really silly, and they turned them to a lot more than that, and I think it's something that this franchise has already showed very well, is that it understands character a little bit better than you would expect it to. Now let's get to the directing here by Chris McKay, because that was something I was a bit worried about. Something that works so well about the first movie is that he, that was entirely Phil Lord and Chris Miller's vision. He did, however, executively co-direct the first Lego movie, and he does a pretty great job directing this film. I really did love his directing here, because this is the kind of movie that, again, it's being promoted as sort of like a parody of Batman, and I really would not say it's a parody. If anything, it's more of a celebration of the character. It's really celebrating who this character really is, and really examining all the different aspects of Batman we've had, and I really do love the way that Chris McKay did that, because, yes, there are parts in this movie, and they're absolutely hilarious. I mean, I found this movie to be a laugh riot. It's a movie that has so many jokes after jokes. It's honestly really impressive by how many jokes they were able to get into this film. I mean, this is a film that just doesn't stop. If you've seen the Lego movie, it's very much like that, where it's just joke after joke after joke after joke, and in a lesser film, that would get tiring, I feel like. I feel like in a lesser film, that would get tiring, because it'd just be joke after joke and they're not funny, but fortunately for this movie, it's hilarious. I mean, I found so many funny jokes within this movie. They did a really great job with the laughs. But again, he also did a very good job at taking this seriously and actually really getting into this concept of who Batman really is. I've always found Batman to be, out of all the DC characters, the most fascinating one. There are so many different ways you can translate that character. There are so many ways you can adapt it to screen. There are so many different aspects that people touch upon, and it's just really interesting to see the different interpretations of Batman, and this one kind of took all of them. It was kind of a hodgepodge of all different Batmans, and I definitely did love the way that they did that here. I thought that was definitely very well done. But the screenplay here as well, I absolutely loved. I found the story to be, yes, basic, but it's a lot more interesting than you think. Like, you think it's going to be a very by-the-numbers story, and it's really not that. Like I said, this movie is actually, I think, a character study on Batman in many ways. Like, it really is a character study on not just Batman, but also Joker, also Batgirl, also Robin. It takes questions that I think we've had for a while of, why does the Joker really want to fight Batman? Why is he so insistent on doing that? Why does Batgirl, want to work alongside Batman? Why does Robin want to work alongside Batman? They really did a good job at answering these questions, and I really did like the way the movie did that. I thought it was overall extremely well done. And like I said, the story in general, I definitely really did love. I really did love the amount of consequence that this movie really does have, because again, the movie gets into the fact that Batman has caused a lot of damage, and Batman has released a lot of villains, and he hasn't really done everything on his own. He's not as great as he thinks he is. He just seems to think that he's great because he's had so many victories, but he's had a lot of failures as well, and there's been a lot of pitfalls along the way, and the movie really does get into that. It's not, it's not afraid to shy away from some more emotional stuff that Batman went through, and I was very impressed with the way the movie did that. I really thought that was very well done. Again, I wasn't expecting it at all, but I thought it was extremely well done, the way the movie really did get into that. They even talked about his parents a bit. I mean, they really do try to flesh out these characters as well as they could, and I really did love that. And then like I said, the movie is absolutely hilarious, but it's also a ton of fun. I was having so much fun with this movie. It's very fast-paced, and it works in every way in that regard. I actually like that it was constantly moving. This isn't a movie that has a dull scene, in my opinion. I feel like they were always moving along. Most of the jokes hit very well. I do think that maybe one or two of the jokes was a bit redundant. Like, they kind of said the same joke a couple times too many. But for the most part, I was loving the jokes. I found them all to be quite funny. I thought they all worked very well. They really did get into the intricacies of all these characters, and I really did love the way the movie did make fun of that. I mean, this movie does very mockingly make fun of the recent DC films, and it should, because they've been really laughable. There are a lot of things you can make fun of with those movies, and this movie understands that, and I did like the way the movie was very unapologetic in that regard. Like, it tells you, okay, these are the good Batman movies, these are the bad ones. It's not trying to, it knows the movies are subjective, but it's basically trying to, make fun of some of the stuff that was a little bit dumb in those movies, and I thought they handled that actually very well. I thought definitely the screenplay was very good there. I definitely really did love the script throughout this movie. The animation here is fantastic. It is amazing to look at, and just the fact that this was all done with Lego characters is crazy to think about. I mean, I can't imagine being in that room, with those characters. I mean, this stuff takes a lot of time to do, and I was very impressed with how well the movie really did turn out with the animation. The animation is absolutely gorgeous. I love the animation in this film. It's a movie that I really want to watch on Blu-ray because the, quality I watched it was great, but I really do want to watch it on Blu-ray because it looks just incredible to look at, and I really did love the animation here. I thought that was very well done. The soundtrack here also is so kick-ass. I really did love the soundtrack this movie. There's a lot of callbacks to the original Batman theme, which I absolutely loved. His ringtone in the movie actually is the Batman theme, so that was also really cool to see. Just some really good stuff there they did with the score. I really did love that. The editing as well. The movie flew by for me. I was into it the entire time. I didn't think there really was a dull scene to be had. As for flaws with the film, like I said, I think some of the jokes did go on a bit too long. I think they definitely could have done a little bit more with some of the characters. Harley Quinn particularly, I don't think they did enough with her. I think Harley Quinn, she was in the movie, but they make her as a main character. She's not really. I feel like Harley Quinn, she was in maybe a few scenes, but she didn't really have a ton to do in this movie. She was in it, and I think Jenny Slate did a very good job, but I just didn't really feel like she had as much to do as some of the other characters did, which I kind of wanted to see more from them, which we didn't really get to see, so that was a little bit disappointing. But I definitely did love the callbacks. Like, there are so many cameos in this film, and the movie is not cameo-ridden. Like, it's not filled to the brim with cameos. It's not trying to be like the other DC films. We're trying to get as many characters as possible. It's using them to its advantage. A long-running joke in this movie is how Batman is most feared of Superman, and I think they actually escalate that conflict better than they did in Batman v Superman, which which is embarrassing to think about, but yeah, really. But other than that, guys, there really aren't many flaws I can think about with the Lego Batman movie. I really did enjoy this movie overall. I had a ton of fun with it. I think it's an absolute blast. Is it as good as the Lego movie? Again, I really can't say. I don't want to judge either film. I can't really judge either film, but I definitely did love the Lego Batman movie overall, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 or a B+. So for guys, maybe the Lego Batman movie, let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Loved your thoughts in it. I really did love this movie overall. I can't wait to watch it again. By far the most fun I've had with any movie this year. And if there's one movie I can recommend, like, seeing, definitely see this movie. I think definitely if you are a fan of the Batman character, you're going to love this film. You'd probably be surprised how much it actually does pay respect to the character, which I also was quite shocked about, but they did that quite well. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next movie review, in my next video, which will be for Arrow. I know I have 2 episodes to catch up on. I'm going to review both episodes, and I will see you guys for that. So, okay, bye.